Hello, smoochers. This is Opa. I'm here to read you a story from a book called The People Could Fly American Black Folk Tales. These are stories written, told by slaves to each other back in the day when there was slavery. This one is called The Talking Cooter. A cooter is, believe it or not, a type of mud turtle. Say Jim was a dreamer. He hoped someday to be a free man, but for now he was a slave. Not far from the big house of the slave owner was a pond, and Jim liked to sit beside it and think. Someone had told him that animals used to talk, and Jim dreamed that someday some animal would talk to him and tell him how to get his freedom. One day, while Jim was right there by the pond, he spied a big cooter mud turtle at the edge of the water. Jim picked up a pebble, threw it at the cooter, striking him on his shell. The cooter moved aside a little, stuck his head up, and said, "Don't do that again. Let's be friends. Would you like to hear me play my fiddle?" Jim was just shocked when the cooter spoke to him. He was most near of falling over when the cooter took a tiny, tiny fiddle from under a stone and commenced to play it. Jim sat there listening and thought he just was dreaming. When he came out of the trance, the cooter was gone. Then, every day, Jim walked over to the pond when his tasks were done, and each day the cooter would greet him with, "Good morning, friend. Do you want to hear me play again?" And Jim had found his voice and his wits enough to say, "Yes, indeedy, I do. Good morning to you too, Brar Cooter." And then the cooter played his fiddle and sang, "Jim, you talk too much. Run along and find your freedom place." Now Jim was a dreamer, but he was a thinker too, and he thought one day that if he let his owner meet the cooter, he might get his freedom that way. After all, a talking cooter was a wonderful thing to hear. So Jim went on back to the plantation. He found the slave owner and he says, "Massa, I want to tell you about this cooter down by the pond." "Well, what about it?" said the slave owner. "Massa," said Jim, "that cooter can talk. And he don't just talk. He taken out his fiddle and he play on it pretty as you please." There's a picture of the cooter playing his fiddle for Jim. "Oh, get out," said the slave owner. "You know that's not true." "'Tis too true," said Jim, as calm as he could. "He speak to me and play and sing for me nearly every day now." The slave owner had to laugh. "Well then, Jim," he said, "if it's true, I'll give you your freedom. But if it's not true, I'm going to give you the worst whooping you ever had in your entire life." "That's all right, massa. I'll show you," said Jim. "I'll take you down there and you'll see for yourself." So that's what Jim did. He took the slave owner down to the pond. When they got there was no cooter to be seen. "Huh!" grunted the slave owner. He had his whip in his hand and he snaked it good and hard, making a big cracking sound. "Good morning," Jim said, loud, but not too loud. There was no answer. "Good morning to you, cooter," Jim said, a bit louder this time. No answer again. "Well, I knew it," said the slave owner. "Dang you, Jim, you fooled with me for the last time." And he raised his whip to thrash him as hard as he could. Just then they heard music, a fiddle playing nearby. And right there, The cooter came climbing out of the pond. He walked on his back legs, and he had that fiddle tucked under his chin, just like any old fiddler. He was playing away on it too. Good morning, he said, and kept on playing. Then he commenced to sing. Jim, I told you talk too much. Run along and find your freedom place. Maybe Jim did talk too much, but that was how he got his freedom. The end.